guys, and welcome to Petrol. So today I am sat in the back of a very special car, a Rolls Royce Wraith. This £250,000 stunner is mine for the weekend, so it would be rude of me not to put it through its paces. But this car is all about driving and not being driven. So I think we need to get it home, put it through its paces. Home, James. Well, here we are back at the barn, and what a stunner. By far and away the most expensive and elegant, exclusive car I've had yet on Petrol, I think. But this is an interesting car. I've been really lucky to have been the passenger of Rolls Royces a number of times. I've been in a Phantom, and I've been in a Ghost, and I've just been in the back of a Wraith. But this car is all about driving, not being driven, and it's also aimed at a much younger audience. So maybe I need a change of clothing, and we'll go and put this bad boy to the test. So, much more like it. So, let's take a look round this, inside now, and then we're going to take it up the road, see what it can do.
Sir Henry Royce once said, "Take the best that exists and make it better." So Rolls Royce used the Ghost as a platform to produce this two-door, four-seat Grand Tourer, the most powerful and sports-focused Rolls-Royce ever. Its silky smooth ride is courtesy of self-levelling, roll-cancelling air suspension with adaptive dampers. The interior is stunning, with beautiful leather everywhere, from cows raised on farms with no barbed wire to avoid imperfections. The options list is extensive, but the most striking must be the Starlight headliner, each one unique, with owners able to personalise the Constellation if they wish. For rainy days, you even get a Rolls Royce umbrella. Even the engine is beautiful. This 6.6 litre V12 produces 624 horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque, taking this car from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds.
So here we are, guys, behind the wheel of a Rolls Royce Wraith, and it's a very, very special place to be. Immediate impressions, having never driven a Rolls Royce before, are the steering is so light, but it kind of firms up as you go into corners. But the other thing is, you look out over this immense bonnet. That bonnet's got a time zone of its own. I've got a head-up display directly in front of me, but then very cool, I've got the Spirit of Ecstasy just in the centre of the bonnet, and I'm sure people buy a Rolls Royce just to have that view because it's quite special. You know you're in a really special place. So we're just going to take a drive, and I'm just going to sort of have a feel of the car really, and sort of let you know what it's like and take you on the journey. So as we waft along, I'm just thinking of the fact that underneath my right foot I have 624 horsepower, which is just amazing. I've got no rev counter in front of me because rev counters are vulgar, so I've basically got a power reserve meter, and I like that a lot. That's so cool. So the power reserve meter, you know, as you depress your foot, it kind of goes down. So if you're just wafting along like this, it's sat at 100% power reserve. As I accelerate, basically the sort of power goes down. We might have to see if we can get get that to 0 at some stage during this drive, I think. So when you look at this car from the outside, one of the overwhelming things you get straight away is its size. This thing is vast. But the really interesting thing driving it, I thought it would feel big, and I certainly thought it would feel wide. And we're on a reasonably small B road, and it doesn't feel that wide. What it does feel, however, is long. I mean, that bonnet is so long. It's quite cool because, you know, there's a V12 under there. But, it, you know, from keeping it in the lane, I thought it would just be a bit overpowering in terms of size, but it's really not. It drives like a small car. If you've driven a large 4x4, it reminds me a little bit of the sort of Range Rover we had in terms of size. It's really not that much of a challenge. So Rolls Royces are legendary for their ride quality and ride comfort, and I have to say this is the smoothest car I've ever been in. It just glides over the road surface, and this road we're on at the moment, it's not that far from my house, it's rubbish, it's full of potholes. I mean, they've just resurfaced it, but they've done a really bad job, but it's just wafting over them, and I don't feel like I really want to drive that fast. I'm in a very high performance car. It's the most powerful car I've ever driven. It's the first time I've ever driven a V12, and I thought I'd be wanting to absolutely rag it, and I really don't. I just want to drive around really mellow. I mean, I know what's under my right foot is going to be quite dramatic when I do press the go loud pedal, although I don't think it's going to actually be that loud. But yeah, it's a really impressive ride quality. Superb. Now we got it on a bit more open road. It's actually a pretty agile car for its size. I mean, this thing weighs over 2.6 tons, but it's pretty nimble. You can place it nicely. The turn-in's pretty good. When you have a car come the other way, you do have to just remind yourself it is a bit wide, but you know, it's a really nice kind of feeling car. And I bring a lot of cars down this bit of road because it's got some nice bends in it and some nice open bends. And I think that's the kind of road this car's really meant for, I think. That sort of open stuff. I think the tight and twisty probably wouldn't be its forte, but open sort of quick bends, and it really does just ooze along.
Rolls Royce first used the name Wraith in 1938. They described the current Wraith as a Debonair gentleman's GT, highly refined, luxurious and exclusive, like its stablemates. Yet this fastback provides the sportiest drive yet from the Goodwood factory. Equally at home exploring its native South Downs or blasting down the autobahn.
This is the performance car, the driver's car, the fastest, most powerful Rolls Royce ever made. The question is just how fast is it, or how good does it perform? And you got to say, it's quick. It doesn't feel quick, it doesn't sound quick, it just is quick. This is probably the biggest license loser I've ever been in, because you just don't know how fast you're going. Okay guys, there's only one thing for it. I need to take the Wraith up the Petrol Ped hill climb. Let's go, see what this baby can do. Kind of, tell you what, it sticks in now. That's quite impressive. It really does hold pretty well. For such a big car, it is a bit rolly and a bit wallowy, but it's not bad. I always think this is a good test of a car because you don't go up here particularly quick, but there's a couple of nice bends, and I think that's proved itself to be very competent at the Petrol Ped hill climb. Very impressive, that is. Very impressive. Okay, so we're going to do a 0 to 60 test because it would be rude not to. So 3, 2, 1. 60.
5.3.
5.3. I reckon we can get better than that. Let's give it another go. This is a great road for doing it because it's so quiet. Okay. 0 to 60, take 2. 3, 2, 1. $60.
5.1.
5.1. So we're kind of at that sort of 5 seconds. The quoted time's 4.5. And unless I'm doing something or not doing something in terms of engine modes, I can't see how you would get sub 5 seconds, because I literally buried my foot there and that's all I got. So it's still quick. This car weighs 2.6 tons and it's just done 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. So you can't complain at that really, but yeah, it kind of squats down and just goes for it. It's quite impressive. You get this baby on some open road and she really does go along. I mean, the brakes are pretty good. There's some good stopping power there. Turning's nice, and then, as I said, the suspension's ever so gentle and soft, but it's firm enough to kind of go around the corners, you know, with the kind of aggression that you want. It's not too wallowy, and the handling for such a big car, very impressive. And as I said, you know, you get her on a bit of an open, flowing bit of road, and you can really push on. But you just have to be really careful how fast you're going, because the acceleration's like stealth, basically. You don't feel like you're going that quick, and suddenly you look at the speedo and you're like, oh my god. But out the corner, it's not a massive, you know, there's no pops and bangs, and that would be too vulgar. It's just got this lovely V12 urgency around it. Very, very cool. As I said, my first ever experience driving a V12, and I want more now. I've ticked them all off now. All I've got now is a V16, but I'd have to drive a Bugatti Veyron to get behind one of those. But yeah, very, very impressive. Okay, so let's have a chat about some of the technology on this car, because it is quite frankly mind-blowing, some of it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the gearbox. So this has got an 8-speed ZF gearbox, but there's some really interesting things. So even though this is a sports-focused car, there's no flappy paddle, there's no option to drive this thing manually at all. You've literally got park, neutral and drive. There's not even a sport mode option. However, what it does have is satellite assisted gears, which I don't fully understand, but basically what the car knows, it knows where you're going because it's got satellite navigation. It understands the car's speed, it knows what corners are coming up, and therefore it changes gear for you into the appropriate gear for the corner and gets you out of trouble, basically, which I just find mind-blowing. I am a big fan of driving the car, and this car kind of does stuff for you. But what it means is you're always like, I've just come into this corner, you're always in the right gear. There's no kick down like you'd find in a normal automatic box. It's just in the right gear, which is amazing. Second cool bit of functionality in this car is it's got adaptive cruise control, which is a pretty standard feature in lots of cars nowadays, but it certainly makes long drives and cruising really quite manageable. So I quite like that. And then finally, very James Bond-esque, this car's got night vision. So basically, although it's daylight, as I'm driving along, on the screen where the sat-nav is, if I push it into night vision mode, you can basically see an infrared shot of the car, or a camera shot out of the front of the car, that helps you in low light conditions and night time, I guess, to look out for, especially on this road, we often get lots of problems with deer and wildlife, but also oncoming cars. So that's bonkers. We've also got park assist, so there's cameras all over this car. There's cameras on the bottom of the wing mirrors, so it's a system they borrow from BMW basically, but as you're reversing, the cameras do some really clever trickery pokery, and on the screen you get what looks like a drone shot from above the car, and it makes you able to sort of understand exactly where all the ends of the car are, and the theory is you shouldn't back into anything, which when you're driving a car as expensive as this can be quite an expensive thing. There are a couple of little things about this car that I'm not so keen on. The first one is, when I look out the rear view mirror, is the parcel shelf's got this beautiful cream leather, but the reflection of the sun means you basically can't see out the back window. The door mirrors are massive. I mean, it's like having a table tennis table stuck to the side of the car. And what that means is, looking out the window that way at junctions and so on, you're kind of almost having to kind of look round the door mirror. So I just think they're too big. And then the final thing is, there are some beautiful bits of quality in here. Obviously the seats, the smell of the leather, the lamb's wool carpets are all beautiful. But then there's some things that I just think choice of materials wasn't great. There's a chrome surround by there, and it's just a bit plasticky. But on the whole, it's a feeling in here of opulence, and it's a very, very special place to be. But there's just a couple of things that I would have done better. So the other really cool thing when I'm pulling out of a junction is I've got these front-facing cameras just sticking out the wings. So you can kind of, the big nose sticks out and you can kind of see whether there's any cars coming. That's pretty cool.
In the evening sun, the Wraith comes home. Rolls Royce opened their Goodwood facility in 2003, and every Rolls since then has turned its first wheel here.
Okay guys, so that brings me to the end of this film, and I had to bring the Rolls Royce back home. We live less than 5 miles from the Rolls Royce factory here at Goodwood, and here she is just sat outside. What a car. Really, really enjoyed experiencing driving a Rolls Royce for the first time. A very special car to drive. Hugely powerful, but it didn't feel powerful at all. Really nice road holding. When you wanted to push on and drive sporty, you could. Although it doesn't really, it's not a kind of car that you want to do that. You just want to drive around and enjoy the kind of elegance, and you don't want to drive like a hooligan, but if you want to, you can. So anyway, I need to say a few thank yous. First things first, I want to say thank you to James and Robert at Rolls Royce for kind of letting me do this film, letting me film in the car. I'm very, very appreciative. To get access to such a beautiful car is very, very special. I'd also like to thank Martin and Peter for the drone photography. When I knew I was going to get access to this car, I thought, right, I need to do something special for this film. And I got in touch with those guys, and they said, yeah, we'll come down, that'll be great fun. So thank you very much for that, it really made the film. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the film. If you have done so, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't subscribed to Petrol Fed, I don't know if you can see that. Excellent, just totally ruined my clothes, but quite funny anyway. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to Petrol Fed for plenty more content to come. Anyway, you take care guys, drive safe.